I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on the Spotlight Network, we're delving into the compelling life and work of Marina Ergas, author of the amazing book, The Other, A Middle Eastern Story. This thought-provoking book explores the human side of conflict, addressing how the other is often dehumanized in times of tension. Her remarkable journey from her roots in a Sephardic Jewish family to living in Israel during pivotal historical events provides a unique perspective you won't want to miss. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Prime 7 Media for helping us put her in the spotlight today, and we ask viewers like you to support authors like her by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing her amazing book. The links are below the interview. Marina, thank you so much for joining me here today on Spotlight. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
This is quite a story that you have to tell. What made you decide to share it with the world?
Okay, the moment I decided to write, well, I've been writing all my life, but the moment I decided to write this particular book, it's when the Prime Minister Rabin was assassinated in 1995. And that was a moment, a peak of hope in the country, a peak of hope for peace, for justice. And it sort of, everything was completely destroyed in that moment. And I had this urge of putting it down. So I just started writing in then. And then other stories were added later on until the conclusion, which is when I left Israel 50 years after I lived there. Now, the thing is that when I left, I was born in Italy, and I grew up after the Second World War with dreams of a better world, with the dreams of making something to make it better. And I was active in all sort of the feminist movement and the socialist movement in Italy. And then 1967 came. Human rights are important to me. And to me, I heard my story like everybody else. And this is the point of The Other. You hear your story, the story of your tribe, the story of your religion, your story of your color. And you believe this is that's the best of it. And the rest is, you have to look down on them. And that's the whole thing that brought me to write this story. And the story is, it does go through the political situation in Israel, but mainly it's my encounters with Palestinians. Now, I had a privilege, I believe it's a privileged situation, because I was a tour guide. First of all, that means I know the country absolutely thoroughly everywhere. I know where the springs are, I know where the water is, I know what the situation is. But also, most Israelis would have probably Palestinian workers. The opposite situation is rare. It happens, but it's not very common. Now, being a tour guide, I've been working with, I was a freelance, so I work for different companies, and I work a lot for Palestinian companies. So I had the chance that many Israelis don't have, because the two people live side by side, but they don't really mix. They don't really have friends or social things together. The two societies are very separate. And I could just mix into it on an equal situation, not on a boss and worker situation, but on a normal equal situation. And also that also gave me the possibility of traveling through the West Bank, which usually, again, Israelis don't usually do it unless in certain places. So I had a lot of contact with Palestinians and understood that he was the other and I was the other. And there can't be a solution with one on top of the other. And that was the main thing that brought me to write this book with a lot of emotions about it, because the moment I realized that there was an injustice, because you see, I thought I was going to build a socialist country, the best country in the world, justice would have been the thing. And slowly I realized that those were illusions of a young girl. But the thing is that when I saw the injustice and I saw the disrespect of the two societies, I decided to get involved. So I got involved in the Women in Black and all the different organizations that are joint Arab Jewish, studied the other cultures. So I was very involved with that. And I think this is something that people should understand, that the other has to be looked in a different way. This is the main thing. The only thing is that all demonstrations, and we fought and we met. I even had the possibility of meeting with the representative of the Palestinians at the area, which was Hanan Ashrawi and Faisal Husseini and Ziad Abu Zayad, because I was guiding delegation of other countries, political delegation, government delegations, and therefore I could get in touch with them as well. And we really tried to get peace. We really tried. We get to Oslo, and we thought, that's it, we're going to make it. And then Rabin was assassinated, and the whole thing crumbled down with different leaders and with a messianic uh, kind of cult that I believe it's ruining the country. And that's the main thing. Then,
Those are all, I'm sorry.
no, it's okay.
I was going to say those are all amazing points that you make, that people misunderstand each other basically based upon the ideas put in our head by our side versus their side, hence the concept of the other. Is it disheartening to you that all of these decades later, there is still such conflict in the Middle East, and that there's more turmoil now, perhaps, than at any other time in the troubled region's history?
Well, I go back to my book and to the conclusion of my book. In the conclusion of my book, I ask some help from some philosopher, which is Einstein and Martin Buber. And they saw the problem right from the beginning. They didn't want it built like this. There was a mistake at the beginning in the concept of how to deal with it. This is one thing, and this is the local problem. But then, of course, the Middle East problem is connected to a lot of more global problems like energy and power and arm production, especially the new arm productions, which have to be tested, I guess, somehow. So if you ask me how I feel, my world has been destroyed. For the last year, I've shed the most tears that I've ever shed in my life, because I see the suffering. I see the suffering on both sides, and I I really feel that all what I believed, again, we come back to what we've been taught, the myth. You are the chosen people. So if I'm the chosen people, I'm supposed to be the best. But something has gone wrong. So this is the situation. I think that it's too global to be able to control crazy people around the area.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a terrible tragedy what's happened there. Both sides obviously treat each other like the other, where they're dehumanizing them, and they're not looking at them as people with hopes and dreams like everybody else has. On either side. I mean, the Palestinians and Hamas are dehumanizing the Jews, and the Jews seem to be doing the same to them on some levels. So it's a mess right now. What are your hopes for the future? Do you see any prospect for peace?
Well, first of all, I really hope some common sense comes to the leaders, in the local leaders, because right now there's fantasies and a lot of corruption. So fantasies and corruption don't give good results. So I have a few people that I can think that maybe they could take the things into their hands and deal with it. But of course, now we have the United States that have to have their influence, because Israel cannot do anything. This last year has proven that Israel cannot do anything by itself without the help and the support of the United States. So it's up to our friends to try and find a solution. And I really hope. Hope is the last thing we have. We have to hope.
Yeah.
And denounce things that are not human and against human rights. I think this is basic and it's very important.
I agree. Amen to that. The name of the book is The Other, a Middle Eastern story. It is a thought-provoking work that explores the human side of conflict, addressing how the other is often dehumanized in times of tension. Marina's remarkable journey from her roots in a Sephardic Jewish family to living in Israel during pivotal historical events provides a unique perspective you won't want to miss. This is an amazing book. It tells a time from decades ago, but the lessons learned in these pages and in this life are applicable today, no doubt. Marina, thank you so much for joining me here today on Spotlight.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate your time. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time, this time until next time on Spotlight.
Okay.